Good morning, good evening, friends. Welcome to my channel, Ek Kitab Se Ek Moti, which in English means a pearl or gem from one book. Today I'm going to read a portion from the Bhagavad Gita translated by Edwin Arnold. He was a Victorian writer, that is, a writer of the Victorian time period or the Victorian era, when Queen Victoria was the Queen of England. And this is considered a classic of English literature. I think it's a part of the World's Classics series of the Oxford University Press, if I'm not mistaken. But the edition that I have with me is this Dover 5th edition. I think it has been printed in the US, if I'm not wrong, New York. Manufactured in the United States by Courier Corporation. Yeah, this has been published or manufactured in the US. Now, as I said, it's considered an English classic. So the advantage of reading Edwin Arnold is that you'll get the message of the Bhagavad Gita, one of the great spiritual books in the world. And the other thing is you'll develop your language skills. You'll improve your vocabulary. And you'll also know how beautiful thoughts can be clothed with beautiful language. So, with that introductory remark, let me tell you from which chapter I'm going to read today. So, the Bhagavad Gita consists of 18 chapters, and the main teaching of the Gita starts from the second chapter and it continues to the end, until the end. That is the last chapter, 18th chapter. In some of the verses, Arjun asks some spiritual questions, and Sri Krishna responds to his questions. So it's a dialogue, and it has the essence of the Hindu philosophy, the Vedic philosophy. So you can get the entire Hindu doctrines and the entire philosophy and religion and ethics of Hinduism from this small book, which consists of 700 verses. So he has translated these 700 verses into beautiful English. So read this, buy this. Now again, I'm a bit hesitant about reading some portions from books because that might be a copyright violation. But then this was published almost 100 or 150 years ago, so I'm not sure whether copyright exists, although I see a copyright symbol here. So I will just check with the publisher if it's okay to read some portions, but I'll go ahead and read the portions. If the publisher tells me that I cannot, I'll just remove this video from YouTube. But with that remark, let me just tell you from which chapter I'm going to read today. I'm going to read from chapter 12, and I'm going to talk about the attributes or characteristics or qualities that a beloved devotee of the Lord should possess, or a devotee who is dear to the Lord. So the Lord himself, Lord Krishna himself, tells Arjuna who are his dear devotees. So if you want to be a dear devotee of the Lord, try to inculcate or imbibe these qualities in yourself. Now, again, this is a perfection. This is the highest ideal for any devotee. It's very difficult to reach. It might take a lifetime. That's why I made a video on having lifetime goals, or answering 4 questions related to your personal improvement. So it was based on the book How to Be Happy Though Rich. So in that, one of the questions was at which age will you reach your full potential? So you need to decide how long you're going to live. That's just an estimate or a guess. Then you need to define let me just remember how the question was phrased. So your full potential, yeah. So you need to decide what your full potential is in every area of life. So this is the full potential. I mean, you can take inspiration from this, or you can use the same words, because it's a beautifully phrased or beautifully expressed set of qualities that an ideal devotee should possess. So what you can do is in your goal, or lifetime goal, or where you have the spiritual, where you describe your full potential in 50 pages or more. So in the spiritual section, you can mention these things, that towards the end of your life you will have acquired all these attributes, or you will have reached a very you would have reached a kind of a place where you're quite close to it. You would have almost become perfect in these areas, or you will have acquired all these qualities that are mentioned in this list. So what I'm trying to say is, let me just put it more clearly, or maybe in simpler words. What I'm trying to say is, in your lifetime goal in the spiritual area, you can say that by the time you are maybe 80 or 85, or whatever your estimate of your lifetime is. So you can say, by that particular age, by age X, I will have reached these standards, or I will have improved myself so much that I could qualify as a beloved devotee of the Lord, by ensuring that I acquire these attributes. So I hope I was clear in what I was trying to say. But there is one thing that I'm just trying to reiterate. So it's a kind of it's not a location. It's a kind of spot that you reach, or it's a kind of destination. So that what kind of spiritual destination that you want to reach. So you decide, and this will help you in deciding what kind of spiritual destination we all need in our lives. And that spiritual destination is that we will have acquired these attributes. Now, with that remark, let me just begin reading this. So let's see what are the great attributes of an ideal devotee of the Lord. Now remember, this is Victorian language, so there is a slight kind of old-fashioned tinge here, or it seems a bit old-fashioned, but that's fine. Who hateth not of all which lives, living himself benign. Benign is compassionate. Compassion, okay, it's been used, the word compassionate. Let me start. Who hateth not of all which lives, living himself benign, compassionate, from arrogance exempt from love of self, unchangeable by good or ill, patient, contented, firm in faith, mastering himself, true to his word, seeking me, heart and soul vowed unto me, that man I love, who troubleth not his kind, and is not troubled by them, clear of wrath, living too high for gladness, grief or fear, that man I love, who dwelling quiet-eyed, stainless, serene, well-balanced, unperplexed, working with me, yet from all works detached, that man I love, who fixed in faith on me, dotes upon none, scorns none, rejoices not and grieves not, letting good or evil hap light when it will. Light has been used as a verb here, which means lands. When something lands on something, it lighted on it. We might use that way. So that's the meaning of light here, not light that a lamp emits or the sun emits. So it means landing. Letting good or evil hap light when it will, and when it will depart, that man I love, who unto friend and foe, keeping an equal heart, with equal mind, bear shame and glory, with an equal peace, takes heat and cold, pleasure and pain, abides quit of desires, hears praise or calumny in passionless restraint, unmoved by each, linked by no ties to earth, steadfast in me, that man I love. But most of all I love those happy ones to whom 'tis life to live, in single fervid faith and love unseen, drinking the blessed Amrit of my being. Amrit is nectar. Something makes us immortal. Let me just repeat it, and then we'll have a brief discussion. Who hateth not of all which lives, living himself benign, compassionate, from arrogance exempt from love of self, unchangeable by good or ill, patient, contented, firm in faith, mastering himself, true to his word, seeking me, heart and soul, vowed unto me, that man I love, who troubleth not his kind, and is not troubled by them, clear of wrath, living too high for gladness, grief or fear, that man I love, who dwelling quiet-eyed, stainless, serene, well-balanced, unperplexed, working with me, yet from all works detached, that man I love, who fixed in me, who fixed in faith on me, dotes upon none, scorns none, rejoices not and grieves not, letting good or evil hap light when it will, and when it will depart, that man I love, who unto friend and foe, keeping an equal heart with equal mind, bears shame and glory with an equal peace, takes heat and cold, pleasure and pain, abides quit of desires, hears praise or calumny in passionless restraint, unmoved by each, linked by no ties to earth, steadfast in me, that man I love. But most of all, I love those happy ones to whom 'tis life to live in single fervid faith, and love unseeing, drinking the blessed amrit of my being. So I won't have, I'm not going to comment too much about it. Most of the ideas are clear. So these are the attributes of the devotee according to Sri Krishna. And when he says I, he's referring to the I, or the universal spirit, or the Lord of the universe. So the Lord of the universe spoke to Arjuna, and he said what are the attributes or qualities that he would like in his or her devotee. So this can be a kind of a role model for us, and in our imagination, that this is how we want to be in our lives, and we can keep moving towards this spiritual goal. Keep trying. We might fail a few times. Look at the first quality that has been mentioned, one who hates no one. Who hateth not of all which lives. So this seems to be an impossible task, because we do hate and we do have these feelings of ill will against others, malice and jealousy. So it's a very difficult ideal. Let's look at the second one. Compassionate, from arrogance exempt. Again, having some good qualities in us, it's difficult not to be arrogant, and unchangeable by good or evil. We get depressed easily when someone praises us. We are puffed up and inflated. When someone criticizes, we feel deflated. And then true to his word, again, very difficult. Who troubleth not his kind, and is not troubled by them. So one who doesn't trouble any being on this earth and is not troubled by others. This is again an ideal. Even just sometimes, let's say we are walking along the road, and we see some dog barking at us, or maybe kind of sprinting towards us, running towards us, and we'll be scared. But what Sri Krishna is trying to say is that an ideal devotee is not scared of anyone, anything, any being, actually. A difficult ideal to attain. And too high for gladness, grief or fear. So there is neither fear in that devotee, neither grief nor gladness, even because the ideal of the Bhagavad Gita is this serene state, tranquil state, so a kind of neutral state. So it's neither towards the left or the right. Neither positive nor negative, neutral. So you overcome all the dualities of the world, like hate, love, neither fear or courage. You do need to be courageous, but what Sri Krishna is trying to say is you take the middle path. So you are completely unaffected by events. And let's look at some of the other things that have been mentioned in this great passage. Who grieves not, and letting good or evil hap light when it will. So when good lands upon us, it's the same. When evil lands upon us, it's the same. And one who grieves not, not being aggrieved by anything that happens to that person or around that person. This is a difficult ideal. When our loved ones, anyone who dies or passes away, it's difficult not to grieve. But then the ideal of the Bhagavad Gita is that the ideal wise man of the Bhagavad Gita, a man or woman. When I say man, it's an all-inclusive term. In that sense, I'm using. So when a person is a wise person, that person knows how the world works, knows the essence of the world, knows what's behind this universe that we see. And that's why one of the first things that Sri Krishna tells Arjuna is that the wise man grieves neither for the living nor for the dead. Let me see if I can get that passage where Sri Krishna talks about that. It's in the 2nd chapter, and that's where the message of the Gita starts. So, let's see. Thou grievest where no grief should be, thou speakest words lacking wisdom, for the wise in heart mourn not for those that live, nor those that die. So this is the ideal state of a wise man, where he or she sees that when a body dies, the soul or the spirit doesn't die. That's the way to overcome grief, and that's what has been mentioned here. That is, an ideal devotee doesn't grieve, not because he or she is heartless, not because he or she is ruthless, but because he or she knows that the spirit is indestructible and the body has been designed to be a temporary kind of location on this planet, a temporary home, or a temporary kind of residence on this earth. So I hope you liked this video. So to recapitulate, the 12th chapter of the Bhagavad Gita contains the attributes of an ideal devotee of the Lord, and what we can do is we can consider it a lifetime goal, because it might take a lifetime to achieve the kind of perfection that has been mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita in the 12th chapter. So you just include it in your lifetime spiritual goal and keep working towards that, and you can, if you think you can. That is, if you think you can attain this before your journey on this earth ends, you should be able to do this. Thanks a lot for watching this video.